In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do the lemon peel stitch. It's a really lovely stitch for making blankets and scarves. It feels sort of quite floppy, it's not a hard rigid stitch. It is the same on the reverse as it is on the front because it's just working backwards and forwards with the same pattern in each row. You have little texture on the top where you have these little raised parts and then indented parts, and just a really lovely stitch that's a combination of double crochet and treble. That's UK terminology. So let's get on with the tutorial. Hello, my name's Karen Stangram and welcome to Conquer Crochet, the channel for tips, tricks and techniques for conquering your crochet. Everything I talk about in today's video will be linked in the descriptions below. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss a single stitch. So if you're keen to get going with this video, give me a thumbs up and let's do this. So for this tutorial I'm using a double knit yarn from Aldi. It's from their So Crafty range in the colourway Aqua. I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook, scissors to cut off my ends and my needle to sew in my ends. So for this tutorial we're going to start off with a slip knot. You can do this in whichever way you prefer. And we're going to make a foundation chain. Now a foundation chain needs to be in a multiple of odd numbers. So I've decided I'm going to make my sample piece of 19 chains, which is my odd number. You may want to measure yours out against the bed if you're making a blanket for the bed, or a scarf that you already have if you want to make a scarf using this stitch. So we've made our slip knot. We're going to chain 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So pause the video now whilst you make your foundation chain as long as you'd like it to be. So I've made my chain of 19. So I'm now going to start my first row, and my first row is going to start off with a double crochet, and that's double crochet in UK terminology. That would be a single crochet in US terminology, and we're going to work that in the second chain from the hook. So we don't count this loop on the hook. This would be our first chain, this is our second chain. So we're going to work our double crochet. So I'm going to insert, yarn over, pull through. You should have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. Now in the next stitch we're going to do a treble. Again, UK terminology is a treble, in US terminology that would be a double crochet. To do that we yarn over, insert into that next chain, yarn over and pull the yarn through. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through just 2 of those loops. You have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops on your hook. In the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet. So we insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the 2 loops on your hook. Next stitch we're going to do a treble, and we repeat this pattern all the way down our row. So we have a double crochet, and then in the next stitch we have a treble. I have heard this called the up and down pattern because you're going double, treble, double, treble. So continue all the way down your row with your doubles and your trebles, and I will meet you at the end of this row. So I come to the end of my row and I'm going to finish off with a treble. Each row starts with a double crochet and finishes with a treble. So if that hasn't happened, we've gone wrong somewhere and we need to look at where we may have gone wrong. So for the next row then we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. And we're going to work, the chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so we're going to work in that very first space. So our last stitch was a treble, we're going to do a double into the top of that stitch. The next stitch, which was a double, we're going to do the treble. Next stitch is a double. Next stitch is a treble. Next stitch is a double. next stitch is a treble. So continue your way down your row with a double crochet followed by a treble followed by a double, and I will meet you at the end of this row. So I come to the end of my row. So this is the last stitch of this row. There's V here, and we're going to do a treble into that V. And you'll see that that's now evened out because we've done doubles on top of trebles and we've done trebles on top of doubles. It's evened out. So I would suggest when you're making this that you try and do it in rows of even numbers so that you will end up with a nice even row. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Remember, we're working into the first stitch, that very first gap, and that would be a double. The row always starts in a double and ends in a treble. So I'm just going to do a few more rows now so you can see how the pattern works up, and I shall see you in a few moments. So I've just crocheted a few more rows just so you can see how this looks. It's got a really lovely texture to it. It's sort of a little bumpy, so you've got some up bits and some down bits. It's obviously the same on the reverse as it is on the front because we're just doing the same row back and forth. So this is a really lovely stitch for doing baby blankets because there's no big holes in it for them to get their fingers stuck in. Be a nice one for making scarves and also for making blankets. So that's how to do the lemon peel stitch. I really hope you found today's tutorial useful. If there are any information that you need to find out about this video, have a look in the descriptions below where I post all the links to any freebies and other videos I think you might find useful. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, to give me a thumbs up below. Don't forget also to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you've enjoyed it and you'd like to see more of my tutorial videos. There are 2 other videos on screen to help you on your crochet journey, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much for joining me on this one, and happy hooking!